Here's a story of a nation which was ravaged because of the struggle for independence. Yes, I'm talking about our country, India. After 300 years of struggle, this country was waiting for a healer, a dreamer, an achiever, which it found in Doctor Bidhan Chandra Roy, the modern architect of Bengal. Starting his journey as a male nurse in the hostel that he was served to study, to earning the highest civilian award, Bharat Ratna, in the country. Dr. B.C. Roy is still hailed as one of the most contemporary harbingers of change, development in this country, even after 6 decades. Apart from structuring the food system and of course the medical infrastructure of this country, B.C. Roy was truly a man who brought in a paradigm shift in the outlook of a country which was still fighting the travails of the newly earned independence.
A physician, educationist, statesman, philanthropist, freedom fighter, Dr. B.C. Roy wore many hats and excelled in every single role. A far-sighted and multidimensional personality, he was a true people's leader and was always aware of the needs and aspirations of common man, as well as the challenge and they faced in their daily lives. How do you describe a man who has all these multidimensional qualities and made a significant impact in a lifetime? As a physician, we are proud of him. I am proud that I am a doctor because Dr. B.C. Roy was a doctor. But people at large in the state had immeasurable love for him for the several humanitarian things that he has done for people.
Dr. Bidhan Chandra Roy was born on 1st July 1882 in the Bankipur region of Patna, Bihar, to Prakash Chandra Roy and Aghor Kamini Devi. His grandmother named him Bhajan. He was the youngest child and had 4 siblings. The ancestral house of Dr. B.C. Roy in Patna, where he was born, is over 150 years old, which has now been converted to a school named Aghor Prakash Shishu Sadhan.
ওনার ভাইজি এই বিদ্যালয়টাকে আরম্ভ করেন 1949 সালে গোটা 5টা রিফিউজিদের উদ্বাস্তু বাচ্চাদেরকে নিয়ে।
এটা শুধু অবৈতনিক স্কুল বললে ভুল হবে। এটা আমরা যারা বিহারবাসী বাঙালি সমাজ, এটা আমাদের কাছে একটা পবিত্র স্থান।
এখানেই প্রথম ওনার মা অঘোর কামিনী দেবী মহিলা শিক্ষার প্রচার ও প্রথা শুরু করেছিলেন, যার ফলশ্রুতিস্বরূপ এখন বর্তমানের বাঁকিপুর গার্লস হাই স্কুল, যেটি এখনকার বড় মহিলাদের শিক্ষা সংস্থান হিসাবে গড়ে উঠেছে।
In the year 1949, he formed a trust to educate children at free of cost in loving memory of his parents and named it after them. Since then, this institute has been imparting education to students, primarily girls from weaker section. Roy passed his matriculation examination from Patna Collegiate School in 1897 and FA examination from Patna College. After BA degree from Patna College with honors in mathematics, he was offered the post of Deputy Magistrate by the government of Bihar. His father, however, dissuaded him from taking up the job. He then got through the admission of both Calcutta Medical College and Bengal Engineering College. Nevertheless, he chose medicine over engineering and finally moved to Calcutta in 1901 to study at the Calcutta Medical College.
So he got himself admitted in the Medical College, Calcutta, and he got graduated in 1901. And after that, he got his MBBS and MD degree and wanted to go to the abroad.
He moved to England. he was allowed to take course for doing MRCP in that hospital. After doing his MRCP, it is very rare, only rare birds can do, I can say. He thought of doing FRCS also, and there was no hindrance, he did that.
Strange thing happens in England. He went to Bartholomew's Hospital, London, where he applied for the post and it was refused. He applied again, refused. And he tried almost 29 times. Then on 30th time he was taken in. And it's only because of he was an Indian physician. And then between 1909 to 1911, he completed both MRCP as a physician and FRCS as a surgeon.
These are the prized medical degrees that anyone can have in a record time. This brilliant achievement made the medical community sit up and take a note, not just in India, but in England as well as in the world.
And after that, he came back to Calcutta. And then subsequently he joined in different institutions to have a training and teaching. So obviously he joined medical college and taught. Again he joined in the Campbell Medical School, and subsequently he occupied the post of a teacher in the RG Kaur Medical College.
B.C. Roy, as the prime mover behind the establishment of medical institutions of immense value like Jadpur TB Hospital, Kamala Nehru Memorial Hospital, Victoria Institution, Chatterjee Cancer Hospital, and many, many multi-dimensional works that he has done is immeasurable.
Another significant medical center that he established was named the Chittaranjan Seva Sadan for women and children. Initially, the women were very reluctant to visit the hospital, but he worked very hard to help them overcome their inhibitions very successfully. He became personal physician of various famous persons, starting from Rabindranath Tagore to Chittaranjan Das, Maulana Azad, Motilal Nehru, Mahatma Gandhi, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, Kamala Nehru, Vallabhbhai Patel, Indira Gandhi, John F. Kennedy and British Prime Minister Clement Attlee were among his admirers.
During a self-purification fast in Pune, 1933, Gandhiji refused to take medication. Dr. Roy arrived at the scene and requested him to take the medicine. Gandhiji asked Dr. Roy, "Why should I take your treatment? Do you treat 400 million of my countrymen free?" Dr. Roy replied, "No, Gandhiji. I could not treat all patients for free, but I came to treat not Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, but to treat him who to me represents the 400 million people of my country." In response, Gandhiji said in jest, "You are arguing like a third-class lawyer in a Mofussil court," and eventually relented.
Being inspired by Deshbandhu Chittaranjan Das, Doctor Bidhan Chandra Roy entered politics in 1925, and what a grand entry it was. He served Calcutta Corporation in 1931 and became the 5th mayor of the city in 1933. And at that time, he was promoting free education, free medical aid, better roads, improved lighting, water supply, the infrastructure in totality. In the year 1930, when the civil disobedience movement was still on, B.C. Roy and many other members of the Indian National Congress were arrested. And of course, INC was declared as an unlawful body. The August 26th, a historical day in the history of this country, arrest landed Dr. B.C. Roy at the Alipur Central Jail in Calcutta. He was kept in the custody there and was given the responsibility of a 120-bed hospital. And what a miracle it was. For his good service, his sentence was reduced from 6 months to 6 weeks. In the year 1941, Bidhan Chandra Roy was elected as the Vice Chancellor of the University of Calcutta. I'm not surprised. What a reformer he was. It was during his term that the Japanese bombings in Rangoon took place, leading to a revolution in Calcutta too. B.C. Roy was of the belief that education should not suffer. As more educated the youth becomes, the better way they can serve this country. Keeping this principle in mind, he made special air raid shelters for students and teachers for classes to be held even at a time of the war. He also conducted relief activities for the suffering. He shifted all the important documents of Calcutta University to Behrampur. It was in recognition of his services that Dr. B.C. Roy received the Doctorate of Science degree in 1944, 3 years prior to independence.
He was reformist not in the social circuit only, but in medicine also. There was Calcutta Medical Association. He established, and there were many other medical associations in different parts of the country, but he established the first Indian Medical Association in 1925, of which he became the president. Then in 1939, when the Medical Council of India was established, Dr. Bidhan Chandra Roy became the first president of Medical Council of India, which started regulating the Indian medical education.
The contribution of Dr. Bidhan Chandra Roy is across many disciplines, not just in politics. Of course, he is a legendary Chief Minister of West Bengal, but he was primarily an educationist, a medical professional. He founded a number of institutions that still continue to shed the light of knowledge across the world. Currently, nearly 100,000 Indian students study in British universities, and 6,830 of them study medical disciplines. We hope, taking a cue and an inspiration from Dr. Bidhan Chandra Roy, the number of Indian students studying medicine in the UK will go up substantially.
Dr. Bidhan Chandra Roy's name was proposed by the Congress for the post of Chief Minister of West Bengal. It was only on the insistence of Mahatma Gandhi that Bidhan Chandra Roy agreed to become the Chief Minister of West Bengal and was sworn in on January 23, 1948. His 14 years as the second West Bengal CM was immensely successful. Bidhan Chandra Roy was instrumental in seeing the end to violence and food and job shortages in the state following the creation of East Pakistan.
After partition, lakhs of refugees started moving across from East Bengal, East Pakistan, or whatever you call it, on the eastern side, whereas a relative less number left West Bengal, left the western portion. The refugee problem occupied the centrality of the period of Dr. B.C. Roy, and it was his personality that ensured that some sort of a solution, a workable solution, was possible within the limitations that in which he worked.
Bidhan Chandra Roy won the love of innumerable people with his boundless talent, eternal love for people, and ability to work hard. As the chief minister, he helped in building Chittaranjan locomotive, Roopnarayanpur Hindustan cables, the Durgapur steel plant, Durgapur chemicals, mining and allied machineries corporation, and so many more industries.
He realized the potential of the Durgapur Asansol belt, which also included Raniganj, the coal and steel belt, and in addition to the steel plant ISCO that was already there in Burnpur near Asansol, he went in for a new greenfield steel plant at Durgapur. A new steel plant and a township costs a humongous amount of money and requires a lot of political pressure, and Dr. Roy succeeded in establishing the Durgapur steel plant with the assistance of the central government. He was instrumental in getting other industries like coke oven, like many other ancillary plants there as well, for the Hindustan cables and many others, central investments in that sector.
Actually, he was an entrepreneur himself, which had helped him to support his vision of industrialization in West Bengal. He made an airlines named Airways India. On 16th August 1946, some radical mischief vandalized his Wellington Road house. He was at Shillong that time. It took 3 days for him to reach Calcutta. The idea of Calcutta-Guwahati air connection came to his mind from that time. After the end of Second World War, Indian Air Force started to sell off their Dakota planes. Airways India bought few of them. Calcutta-Guwahati Airlines was started and Dr. B.C. Roy became the first chairman. This organization started Air Technical School at Dom. He was the first chairman of Indian Insurance Company, which was founded by his friend Nolini Ranjan Sarkar, and supported many private sector companies to take off post-independence. He first realized that curriculum is needed to manage the industry. And the first business management course was started in Kolkata at IISWBM in 1953.
Dr. B.C. Roy was a visionary in the truest sense of the term. He was now envisaging urban planning that explains his blueprint for the creation of the 5 hugely significant townships: Durgapur, Kollani, Bidhannagar, Ashoknagar, and Habra.
Ashoknagar Hapra has turned out to be a big planned town, but it didn't attract the attention of the Bengal middle class to that extent. But in any case, Bidhannagar or Salt Lake, Kalyani are marvels, are successes in planned urban development.
One of our fathers in Kolkata was a very close friend of Dr. B.C. Roy, and this Father Henry had given him the idea of starting Salt Lake. It is like striking, 2 mangoes with 1 stone. He suggested to him, you dig the soil of Hooghly River so that you can dig it and make it deep, and then throw that soil on Salt Lake so that the lake would be raised and you can build a town on it. So this is how it was planned, and so we call it now Bidhan Nagar. It's named after him.
This is a major endeavor that was established by Dr. B.C. Roy when many other states were floundering about what to do with large, bursting urban populations.
Interestingly, long after he had conceived this hub-and-spoke model on his own steam and foresight, the city got one of its earliest organized urban planning bodies, the Calcutta Metropolitan Planning Organization, CMPO, the former avatar of the Calcutta Metropolitan Development Authority, or CMDA. Here's an interesting story. B.C. Roy formed CMPO after returning home from the US in 1961, where he met with then US President, the glamorous John F. Kennedy, even offering to treat JFK's long-standing back problem during their meeting. It is understood that he reminded Kennedy of his professional fees after writing a prescription, and the US President asked Roy what he could do for him. It was then that B.C. Roy requested President Kennedy to help in developing and implementing a proper urban planning program for our city of joy, Calcutta, which at that point was hugely battered by a number of disasters and calamities. JFK immediately called the Ford Foundation brass to help with Calcutta's planning, since the organization was already preparing a master plan for Delhi besides sanctioning a grant. On his return to Calcutta, Dr. B.C. Roy set up the CMPO with the guidance of the Ford Foundation consultants. This critical gift to the city during his last years would later help Calcutta immensely, and truly he was a master urban planner.
Dr. Roy came to the Writers' Building for the last time on 24th June 1962. On that day, some monks from Nimpit Ramakrishna Mission came to visit him. He was feeling sick. He had fever that day. He came home earlier than usual time. Had heart attack that very night. Doctors advised him not to leave the house, but he continued looking into the affairs of the state from his own house. Dr. Radhakrishnan, President of India, and the Governor of West Bengal, Padmaja Naidu, had come to visit him. The morning of 1st July started as usual. He recited from Upanishad. He bows to the picture of his parents. Many came to visit him on his birthday, but there was a notice on the door. I can't meet this time as per doctor's direction. Thank you and wish you all the best. His nephew Shukumar Roy and his daughter Joya came to visit him. His friend Colonel Lalit Mohan Banerjee was beside him. Dr. Roy said, "I lived a long life and completed all my work." But suddenly he felt sick and breathing trouble started. In spite of the doctor's utmost efforts to save him, Dr. Roy left for his heavenly abode, having fruitfully completed his sojourn on this planet.
আগুনের পরশমণি ছোঁয়াও প্রাণে এই জীবন পূর্ণ করো, এই জীবন পূর্ণ করো, এই জীবন পূর্ণ করো, এই জীবন পূর্ণ করো দহন দানে আগুনের পরশমণি